Welcome back. In this part, we will take a look at final adjustments to the lights, render settings, AOVs, and also how to animate the camera. So basically, if we take a look at this, the camera looks like it is doing something that is called dolly zoom or vertigo effect. So basically, the pumpkin kind of stays at the same level, and then everything else kind of stretches towards the camera. And I'll show you how we can create this in Houdini. So let's first save this quick test render. You can just click on this show snapshot gallery, and then if you click on save snapshot, it will save it. So first we will do a quick adjustment to the light. I actually forgot that I didn't use a full-on diffuse multiplier because I didn't want the light to brighten up the inside of the pumpkin so much. I wanted to see some of the details there, and also I wanted to increase the exposure so more of the rays would be coming through. So if we decrease the diffuse multiplier, and then you can see that the light became a bit dimmer. You can see now we see more inside of the mouth. Maybe it's better to show it like this so we don't spend time on rendering the volume. So now you can see the interior part of the pumpkin. So you can start seeing more details in the mouth, and this will give me an ability to increase the exposure a bit more, and we would still see some details on the inside, but we would have more rays coming out. So this was kind of the trick that I've used. Next, let's quickly take a look at the camera animation. So my shot was going from frame 72 to frame 168. We can actually set the start to 72 and apply. And let's save this as rendering. Accept. Okay, so the camera is basically using a dolly zoom effect. Let's go to the Houdini VK, the Vulkan viewport. So there are a couple of adjustments that I want to make onto the camera. But first of all, let's set the focal length to 50. I'm not sure why it was set to that weird number. Okay, so once we do that, this is the focal length that we have. So we will be animating the focal length from 50 to 40 at frame 168. So let's go to frame 168. Oh, it looks like something has changed. Let me just copy the camera from my scene. So let's plug the camera in, and let's make sure we're looking through the camera. Okay. Yes, yeah, so I think that was some kind of bug. So we have the camera that starts with the focal length of 50. And again, you might set your camera for a different starting focal length, but for me this was good. I also want to see the candles. The candles here. Okay, so let's hold Alt and click to set a keyframe here, and we'll go to frame 168, and we will set the focal length to be 40, and then hold Alt and click. So this way we would change the focal length from 50 to 40. And we can also shift click to this animated parameter, shift and left middle mouse click. We want to make sure that the curves are all linear. So if you select the animation curves, in the function, you can set this to linear. Okay, so we want to set this for everything. So what is going to happen next as this is getting animated? So you can see when we are at 50, everything is more flat. And then when we go to 40, things getting a bit stretched out and we're starting to get more perspective. So as we will be zooming, as we will be changing the focal length to 40, we will be changing the camera translation in Z axis. So in order to do that, let's hold Alt and get out of the camera view. Okay, so let's select the camera. Let's go to the first frame, frame 72. And with the camera selected, if I press enter in the viewport, I would get this little UI. So let's now go to the transform. I'm gonna hold Alt and click on the translate XYZ. And then it's going to be easy to see what we are doing if we will just create an instance of this pane. So I'm going to click on the top and tear off pane tab copy. I'm gonna set this to camera 1. Okay, so that's our starting point. And then if we go to frame 168, you can see that everything kind of looks like it's zoomed out. So what we are going to do, I'm going to make sure that the auto key is on. I'm going to turn on auto key changes. And I'm just going to translate the camera forward. Okay. Until we get to a point where we see it much closer. So let's keep zooming in. Yeah, I think something more like that. Something like that. Okay, so we should be pretty good now. Okay, so yeah, something like that. Okay, so something like this should be good. So we have changed the focal length and the camera translation. All right, so now if I close that window, if I go into the camera view, and I'm just going to quickly flipbook this so you can see what exactly is going to happen. So let's start a flipbook and I'm going to pause the video. Actually, before I flipbook, I forgot to make sure that all the keyframes are in linear, because these newly created keyframes are going to be tangential curve. So if I press shift and click on this one, you can see that everything is not straight. We have some curves here, so let's select all these. Let's make sure they're all linear. And let's now do let's go to the first frame and let's do a flipbook. Okay. So this is how it is going to look, and as you can see, the pumpkin pretty much stays in frame, it being distorted, and it kind of adds this more intense look to the shot, and you can see that everything else is kind of getting stretched in perspective. All right, so this dolly zoom effect kind of makes it look more creepy. So this is what I ended up doing for the camera. We already looked at the light settings. Now let's quickly take a look at all the AOVs that I did. And also, before rendering, I highly recommend you to do a flipbook of everything together, just to make sure that all of your elements are doing the right thing. The smoke is not frozen, or things are not exploding, because rendering takes a while, and you don't want to render something that looks wrong, right? So always do a flipbook before you render. So if we go to Karma render settings, again, these are the settings that I've been using. Let's make sure that our camera name is matching, so camera 1 to camera 1. So in the AOVs, this is what we are going to do. We're going to use the beauty. I'm going to use the combined diffuse, glossy reflection. We don't have any refractions. In the lights, I'm going to use combined emission, combined volume. I'm going to use the subsurface. We will need albedo pass for denoising all the AOVs in compositing. So let's turn that on. Optionally, you can also turn on ambient occlusion. And then in the utility, we can do the depth, which is going to be the Z depth for adding depth of field. We can do some normal. So normal and albedo is definitely important for post-render denoising. And then we can add some cryptomatte layers for compositing as well. So I'm gonna go to extra render variables, and I'm gonna do add instance here, and then you can just click and find the cryptomatte object. I usually do both the object and the material just in case. Then we can find the cryptomatte material name. Okay, so these should be good. Make sure that you have enough disk space, and like I said, do a test render, see how long it takes per frame, and see if you want to do a sequence or if you want to do just one frame render. And then for the actual rendering part, let's go and set this to specific frame range. Let's save this, and then I'm going to click on render to disk in background, and then we will be back for the compositing part.